Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the League Community Podcast. I, of course, am a Dylan Most Dirty. With me today is Patrick Skarzard Scarborough.
Hello.
Skarzard, say hi to the people.
I did. I was doing that.
All right, and what we're going to be doing today is actually talking to Gypsy Lord. We're going to get to know him a little bit, talk about his board game obsession, and a little bit about Jhin, the new champion.
Hey, guys.
What's up, August? How you doing?
Oh, just making gin, fixing bugs, getting to the end of the release cycle, so kind of
Are we
tired.
like in the middle? Is a bug gonna go out because you're here?
No. I'll just stay up late tonight. Don't worry about it.
What are the bugs? What's the latest hotness?
Now.
Give us the list of all the tickets.
Oh, all the
What are
fun
all the
bugs.
bugs?
Well, he's got one where he can auto attack while he's reloading. That's a really good one since he's not supposed to do that.
Like it works really well with his design.
I thought that's how you express skill.
I know.
on Jhin.
If you spam the attack click enough while reloading, you'll get free attacks, and that's testing your APM, kind of like how Riven tests your APM, like making you cancel every move she does.
Is it the same guy internally who finds like all of these edge case, like press a button 100 times bugs or anything like that? Or where do those come from?
We have vendors, so
Okay.
we have other companies we work with that test this stuff for us and get it back to us.
And by vendors, he means there's one guy who just clicks every button hundreds of times. He's like, yeah, this one's broken.
It's his specialty.
This
He's
one
been in
doesn't
four
work.
different places doing that exact thing.
So, August, before we get going into your story, which I do want to get into, I think you have an interesting one. Let's talk a little bit about Jhin, the champion. Like, tell us a little bit about who is this guy that I'm going to see showing up on my bot lanes, mid lanes, jungle, whatever. Who is this character?
I like that you mentioned that he'll show up in all those lanes because that's how good he is. He'll just go everywhere.
Oh yeah, he'll go everywhere.
Bot,
you did
mid,
design
top
him.
support, jungle.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing about my designs. They come out and we tell you they're going one place, but then they go the exact opposite place of where we wanted them to go.
Right.
Man.
Yeah. Who is Jhin?
Jhin is
the man behind the mask?
The man behind the mask is a psychopath. He's
Shit.
crazy.
Okay. I don't want to go behind the mask anymore.
But yeah, Jhin is a psychopathic serial killer who's basically his core belief is that the best thing he can give anyone is a beautiful death. And so
Thanks, Jhin.
Yeah, what a great guy, right? So like he's all about like, making your life better by killing you and taking it away.
The holidays are a fantastic time for Jhin. You're gonna love what I got you. Just don't make any plans after Christmas.
Yeah. Exactly. Gives you a nice little flower and it explodes after 2 seconds. Boom.
Wow. Okay. So why in your mind when you guys were concepting Jhin, why is he into this? Like what is it about the act of killing or this that kind of really gets him going?
So what Jhin is really about at his core is he's a performance artist. What really gets him going is that he wants to make a kill not just like beautiful, but perfect and paced out correctly. He wants the whole act of killing someone to be this beautiful performance that has a start and a crescendo and then a finale, and at the end you're dead.
Right.
And that came about through his passive, honestly, which was, we kind of started out saying he used to be a sniper. Like he used to be this like cowboy with this giant long rifle. And we were like, well, we can't just make a straight sniper because we don't want to give another person Caitlyn's ranged auto attacks.
Yeah.
So how do we make a character who feels like a sniper without having these long-range auto attacks? And one of the things we thought about was, well, snipers take like a long time between shots. Whenever you take a shot in Call of Duty or say Team Fortress 2 or something with a sniper rifle, like especially the bolt action ones, it's like you got to reload that thing between each shot, and it's long, and every single time you pull the trigger really matters. So that's where his passive came from, the 4 shots attacking really slow. And to make the 4 shots feel really good and have this ammo system, we made the 4th shot really special. It does a lot of extra damage, it crits, it has an execute on it. And we asked ourselves, what kind of sniper saves the best shot for last? That doesn't make any sense. Most snipers would just shoot you with the
it's
good
one and done.
Yeah, you're
for the
done.
most
One
part.
shot, one kill, right?
Yeah.
360 no scope, all that stuff.
God.
All right, so it's pretty interesting here because I feel like new champions are always pretty hype. ADCs, though, seem to be in a class of their own. And then particularly in this case, it seems to have gone, almost to the next level. And I think part of that is, at least from the passive, from what you're describing. I'm really curious, what have you thought of the player reaction so far?
So at first I was a little scared because our promos for the guy made him out to be this like very, very artistic fellow. And it's not that that's not true, but that's just part of who he is, right? It's not the whole Jhin. Jhin's a crazy psychopath who has a gun, and he's very accurate with that gun, and he's more about performance art than really like one perfect piece of like beautiful things. And so naturally, when players saw the promos and then saw the kit, they were like, well, wait a second.
Where's the art in the kit, right?
Yeah.
You throw a grenade around, you do the stuff.
This is this person's Q, that person's W, that type of
Yes,
stuff.
I'm very well known for stealing other abilities and putting them on my champions. So
Even from your own champions.
yes,
Actually,
yes.
putting them all in there.
So you're saying the kit needs to come together, and that was what you were worried people wouldn't see?
So yeah, I was worried that what if they're right? What if
Oops.
what if I did screw it up and the character doesn't feel like this like paced out serial killer who like makes perfect kills, right? What if we haven't delivered on that expectation? Because I think it's really important for a champion to fulfill their thematic fantasy. I think that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And so I was, a little worried, but at the same time, I was pretty confident that just wait until people play the guy, and then they'll see. Then they'll see all the beautiful things.
And then people did. I remember there was just using this subreddit as an example, there was, the first day, as you're saying, it was a whole swath of posts being like, yo, I'm not seeing what I thought I was seeing. I expected this like beautiful artist and I'm not getting that. And then the PvE goes out and people start playing him, and this one rose to the top that was like, guys, I understand now. It's like really it's about orchestrating everything from beginning to end, and the way that you have to use your abilities, the way that you have to play in game gives you this exacting, precise feeling that when you do finish them off with the curtain call, right, the crazy zoom out, 4-shot ultimate, that it really feels like you had marked and like pegged that person for death, and then you followed through with it.
Exactly. You planned out exactly what you're going to do to them and then just destroyed them methodically.
Yeah,
and
it's like a villain. I like to think of it as like a villain's version of monologuing, but in gameplay, right? It's like I'm going to use all these abilities in sequence, and then it will be finished. And he actually does, which is super cool.
Yeah, and that's the thing is it's just like, I think a really important part is like you can look at any character's kit and you can pick out individual abilities that might not be perfectly thematic or perfectly what you'd expect from a character, but really the important part about characters to me is like when they come together, that's where you're going to get the feel of them. I think another character who's like this honestly is Jinx. If you look at Jinx's kit, like just really honestly look at it, aside from the passive, it's like, what's W? A sniper move. What's the ultimate? A sniper move. What's the traps? Well, she stops people from getting to her. And then her Q is a long-range, slow auto attack.
Yeah.
Or really fast short range. And it's like, what is Jinx's kit without her passive? Jinx's kit is a sniper kit. It's like a calculated person who sits at the back of the fight and just pokes at you. And then the second you add that passive in, and you're like, oh, wow, wait, this passive makes me feel like completely different, like a completely different character.
Yeah, now I'm doing all those things running through your team, right, rather than just kiting backwards and staying safe.
Exactly. And so if you were to read Jinx's kit, it would be like, well, I mean, her passive makes her run fast, but like, is this really a crazy manic psycho girl with lots of guns? And then you play it and you're like, oh, wow, that passive really just does tie everything together.
Really holds the room together.
Yeah.
Okay, so on that note, I'm really glad you brought up Jinx because we're going to get back to Jhin and how his development led to where he is today. But I actually want to get to know you a little bit, August. And between Jinx and Jhin, who are some pretty messed up characters, I'm thinking that you might actually have some dark stuff to talk about in your past. Not least of which is your origins in the Dark North.
Yes, the Dark North of Alaska.
You are a lord of gypsies.
Yeah. Well, I guess that was my dog's name.
Yeah, no, we'll hit everyone out there with the quick, because I think it's cute. I think it's, people hear Gypsy Lord and they're like, that's a name, really? But what's the origin?
The origin of my screen name is when I was very young, I had a wonderful dog called Gypsy, and she protected me from bears, like actually protected me from bears. Like,
yeah, August is from Alaska,
woods.
Y'all. So
we're going to get back to that. Tell us about Gypsy.
Yeah.
Blessed Gypsy.
We'd be in the woods and there'd be a bear and she'd chase it off. In fact, once she got swatted in the face by a bear and the rest of her life, her tongue was had a cut in it. It was crazy.
Freaking Alaska, man.
Hardcore dog. Anyways, Gypsy was my dog and I loved her. And so when it came time to get a screen name, I was like, Gypsy, great screen name. But Gypsy is only 5 letters and most screen names need to be 6 or higher. And so when I was in my freshman bio class, the teacher, in order to display grades, required everybody give him a screen name, and he'd print them out and put them up next to them. You'd have your code name next to them, but it needed to be bigger than 6 letters. So at the time, I was doing a lot of fantasy novels with a lot of lords and ladies in them. And I was like, oh, gypsy, lord. Okay, great. We did it. And
I can only hope that that when I raise children, that they read books with lords and ladies in them.
Just add the lord to the end of everything now.
Yeah, I know.
Scar Lord.
Yeah.
Also, I just have Indiana Jones on the mind now.
Yeah.
We named the dog Gypsy.
Yeah. So Gypsy Lord. It's. I think that's so cute. That image of like I'm the cool wizard master of my cute dog Gypsy.
With
Anyway.
her tongue hanging out.
So back to the bears and all that though. You grew up in Alaska.
Yeah.
And what I mean, it's you moved around a lot.
Yeah, my dad was a construction engineer, so he had to like make airports and roads and all over the place. So moved 16 times in 16 years. And yeah,
That's a lot, actually.
That was a lot.
More times than most people have moved ever.
I was really hoping for Bear Fighter, but that's cool too.
Yeah. Well, so the other thing that I think is the most important is, you're a game designer now, right? And a lot of people know you. This is your 5th champion that you're making. Jhin is number 5. But you actually, unlike most people out there, did not grow up playing video games.
Yeah,
in the same way that other people did.
So yeah, it's interesting because I wanted to grow up playing video games. That was a desire I had, but my parents
let me
did
play
not.
the Nintendo, Papa.
Exactly. And then Papa would say, no, we're not getting one of those in the house. Go outside.
Was it demons? Was it you would use all your time doing it?
It was that one. It was just like games are like so violent and like you just shouldn't play them. They're not good for you. Games are bad for you. Go
August,
outside.
you're going to become a murderer if you play these games.
Yeah,
You really
exactly
needed
like
to show
that.
them like Oregon Trail first or something, or Carmen San Diego.
So they liked the more educational games.
Sure.
They'd
They
let
just
me
saw you
play
playing
like,
Doom and it was over.
Yeah.
Well, they wouldn't let me near Doom. I couldn't play the original StarCraft.
Your parents sound surprisingly well educated. I feel like it was pretty easy to get around mine on a lot of this early stuff. Did they somehow have Nintendo Power to keep up on this or what?
Well, yeah, that's a twist. If someone had like a subscription to gaming magazines to make sure they could keep up to date to protect you from video games.
Oh, it's not like they like looked out for certain games and it's just like, oh, that's one of those ones I read about. They'd just be like, is there a game in the house? Well, we better take a look at that one. Oh, nope,
Gotcha.
not that game.
Nope.
So yeah, I wanted to play a lot of games. Since I was very young, my first sentence was, I want to push the button on the computer. Like, that's how obsessed with games I was.
That's a very involved sentence, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's impressive.
A lot of parts of speech in that one.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta say.
So how'd you get your kicks?
So I actually probably lost a lot of friends this way, but if I ever had a friend when I was very, very young who had a computer, I'd basically just spend all their time at their house playing games and not actually talking to them. So I think I lost a couple friends that way. But
I think we were friends growing up. I think you're exactly the person that I was like, get out of my house.
Yeah,
Stop.
I mean, you're a little kid. It can get weirdly tense sometime when you go over to your friend's house. He's got that sweet new console, and you're like, God, please let me play.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's my turn.
Yeah.
So I do that, and then just, I would try to convince my parents to like let me play games. Eventually, I got lucky, and my cousin like sent me a Game Boy, and my parents didn't have the heart to take it away.
Ha.
So,
There you go.
so that was like when the games started getting into the house, and then they, of course, set a strict rule: 1 hour a day.
Game Boy, the gateway drug.
Yeah.
of
Yeah, plus you can
games.
just take it outside, although you're then dealing with bears.
Oh yeah. Well, they wouldn't let me take it outside. I mean, I could try to hide it. But.
Well, my first thought, because I played a lot of Game Boy outside, I thought, well, sometimes you have the problem where like the sun gets in the way, and then I realized you live in Alaska and the sun doesn't exist.
Yeah, you have to more worry about it getting rained on a lot, just everyday rain.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't work out.
So you got the Game Boy.
Yeah, I
what
got
was
the Game Boy.
what was your first?
My first
free
two
experience.
games was Super Mario Land and then Donkey Kong Country 2, I think, or Donkey Kong
good.
Land 2.
Yo.
It's the one with Diddy in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Diddy and Dixie.
It's a piece of trivia. It's called Diddy's Kong Quest, and most people think it's called Diddy Kong's Quest, but it's actually a play on the word conquest.
Oh, wow, that's terrible. Just like your jokes.
Wow, what are you talking about? Look, I'm just saying. That's what it is. It's
No
Donkey
words,
Kong Country
Patrick.
2.
No words.
Diddy's Kong Quest.
Thank you.
Wow.
The
So,
more
yeah.
you know.
I had those.
That's
and
what I'm
then
here for.
Probably
to
the,
give you obscure facts about Donkey Kong.
Back to August.
Probably the first like major one I played actually was Pokemon Blue.
Yeah.
Holy crap, that
Man.
game was amazing.
Were you just straight like level 99s at some point?
No, I actually was really bad at games back then. I couldn't beat the game.
Okay.
I actually couldn't beat the Elite Four.
What was your hang up?
I just
Did you just personally not want to? Could you
like,
not?
No. There's always some spot.
I didn't understand that, like, oh, if you train your Pokemon enough, they'll keep getting levels, and then eventually you'll win. And so, like, basically, I just played it in a straight line, and then if I ran into an obstacle, I would just keep trying to beat it, and then I kept doing that until I got to the Elite Four, and I just like it was just like. Oh, and I always reset. If I ever died, I reset. Like it wasn't okay to die.
Delete the save?
No, like reset. Like restart my computer, not my computer, my Game Boy. Like so, I never had that thing where it's just like, oh, I lost half my money, but at least I got some experience. So when I got to the Elite Four, I just fight them, lose, not get any experience, try again, and then eventually I just gave up.
This is a great way to breed frustration, I think, in a young boy.
You all can't see it out there, but my mouth is hanging open. I'm speechless.
No, I was not that great at games back then. But then my friend told me about this great glitch where you could go find a level 250 Golbat by surfing on the edge of Cinnabar
Island. There's all sorts of glitches. August, I take a little bit of issue with your statement because I've played League with you, and I don't think you're much good at video games now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I don't know. I don't know that one's actually improved.
Look, man, I get it. Janna boosted all the way to Diamond 3.
Filthy Janna picker. All right, so you were definitely you're fiending for the games, right? And so what I want to know is how do you make that jump from being an
aspiring
gamer to being a game designer? How did you get into it?
Well, basically, I actually started playing a lot of board games, which my parents felt were wholesome and okay. Although when I eventually started buying so many of them, they also started getting concerns with those too. But that's where I started like actually getting into like, I guess like quote serious gaming, where like I learned how to like optimize and like learn the rules and learn how to play around things. Stuff like that.
I've actually thought about this a ton because I play Axis and Allies a lot with my
that was one of my first like real games.
What is I'm the noob here for the first time. What is Axis and Allies?
Is Risk just times 10 in terms of complexity, satisfaction.
It's just like a big world conquering
you play
world conquering game, but like it's like you have like I can like choose units to buy and you can research technologies and there's like diplomacy and stuff going on.
Different kinds of units do different things.
So it's like Civilization games but on a board game.
Not that crazy.
All right, I just don't know
Patrick,
anything.
you wouldn't understand.
Right, yeah, I wouldn't. The most board games I've ever come into contact with was actually at your apartment, August. Someone was like sick in the living room, and they were like, "Oh, just go grab like a towel. It's in the closet." And I went and I opened the closet, and 10 board games fell upon me, and I counted up until about 30 before I couldn't see anymore.
Oh, yeah, that's a shadow of my former collection. I used to have about 150 in my basement back in Alaska. I sold most of them in college, though, to pay for tuition.
My parents got slightly concerned.
Yeah, slightly concerned. Anyways, so yeah, after eventually I like really turned on to games when I got to college, because in college I didn't have any parents anymore to tell me I couldn't play them. So when everybody else is like,
party every
college,
day,
party hard, go out and drink and stuff like that, I was like, woo, college, I guess I'll play Team Fortress 2 for 24 hours straight.
And waking up straight to the computer.
Yeah, straight to the computer. So I had a lot of fun.
I'm sure things are much different for you now.
Yes, much, much different. I get up and oh God, what have I done?
Oh no!
I haven't changed in 7 years.
Okay, so you get to college, you discover what it is like to game for 24 hours straight for the first time.
Terrible idea. Never do that, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
It feels terrible.
I did a little bit of that too.
Unless you're playing Jhin.
Yeah.
In which case, continue to play Jhin forever and ever.
He's that fun.
Perfection.
He's that fun. But yeah, so I kind of like that's when I started playing Team Fortress 2, and that was when I first started being like, wow, you could actually like optimize these games and get really, really, really good at a game and then destroy everybody you run into. And that was a lot of fun.
You found the true joy in gaming.
Yes, and so I played Team Fortress 2 for 1,400 hours and like played semi-competitively in it. And that's where I got like really, really into games. And then eventually in my junior year, I found League of Legends. In fact, the way I found League of Legends is I was playing Defense of the Ancients, like the old mod.
The original Dota.
And a lot of people in my frat were playing it, and they invited me to play with them, and I had a lot of fun.
Hold on, I'm sorry. You were in a frat.
I was in a frat. A co-ed frat, in fact. Which is, yeah, I mean, technically maybe that's not a frat. I don't know what you'd call that. But
I know there were like the law frat.
I wouldn't have pegged you as a Greek person.
Well, at Dartmouth, like it was basically Greek life or sit in your room. Like we're like just
But you
isolated
just
in
told
the middle
me
of the
that you sat in your
woods.
room.
And I sat in my room until junior year, and I was like, I
Sure.
need to make some friends.
Plus,
so
it's
I started talking
Ivy
to
League,
people.
so
I
I mean,
love
I
how it's
assume-
your attempt to become more social that somehow led you to League of Legends.
Yes, yes.
It's like, oh no, it's cool. I'm gonna leave my room. What are you guys playing? And then I never left.
Yeah. No, I definitely started getting out less again after I started playing League.
Right? Yeah.
Until my parents made me get rid of my computer, so then I donated it in quotes to my frat, and then just played it at my frat.
They made you get rid of it from
They-
4,000 miles away?
Yeah, because they were paying for tuition
They
partially.
wrote him very
and they
angry
threatened
letters.
to take away tuition.
Dude, I know people who hid like whole snake collections in their room and crap like that. You couldn't just like hide the computer when they visited once a year?
I didn't like lying to them.
Well, it also
basically.
sounds like he couldn't hide it from his grades. If I had to make a guess.
Okay, sure.
My grades
They're
were-
like,
my
how did he
grades were
go from a
fine.
straight A student to what is going on here? Video games.
I did okay, just not A's. But yeah,
You're like, just not great.
So 3.9.
yeah, 3.9, A minus.
Easy,
is,
easy, easy GPAs here. So,
But
so your people in your frat are like, hey, bro, let's play League of Legends.
they were like, "Hey, bro, let's play Dota."
Yeah.
And then I was like, "Okay, Dota's fun," and I played Ricky Maru, the perma stealth guy. Oh my god, he's so cool.
So this is how many years ago at this point?
This was about 5
6,
years
7?
ago. 5 years ago.
Okay,
Yeah, 2009.
sure.
No, that's totally
It
wrong.
is 2016.
2011.
5 years ago is 2011.
2011.
All right.
I'm stupid.
I'm just helping you do some math.
Yeah, thanks for the math. But so I played Dota, and it was really fun with all my friends. And then I wanted to like play on my own because I really liked the game.
Sure.
And so I go load up some Dota matches, and just everybody is just horrendous to me. The game didn't have matchmaking, so it was just like I was just this trash guy playing Dwarven Sniper, and
yeah.
everybody else is just like, go uninstall your Warcraft 3 mod.
Yeah, this
And I
is
was-
all. Yeah.
And I was like,
Go,
wow.
go into your mod folder. You're gonna have to navigate down the route a little bit and find this and delete it.
Yeah.
You're gonna want to put that one right in the recycle bin.
Exactly. So I was like, okay, well, I like this game, but this community is not for me. So I typed into Google games that are like Dota, but not as mean. and,
Games that are like Dota, but not
Precise
as
wording.
mean. Yeah.
and I got hooked like immediately. And yeah, there was no going back from there.
All right, who were you playing first?
My first champion was actually a collie because she was the first on the list. Her name starts with A.
I knew I didn't like you.
And at least from Dota, I knew not to go under towers, so I just played a collie. And back then, her recommended items had stacking items in the list. So I just bought a mage eyes and a sword of a cult,
Those
and
were the
killed
days, man.
everyone. And I thought it was so good at the game.
Those weird old builds. There was once upon a time I was a dirty cat player. Built like 6 Kage's picks to start the game
It's
off.
godlike.
Just exist
I
on that
love
gold for a
those.
while.
For those of you out there who don't know,
God, I'm so cool.
Cage's or Kage's lucky pick, it's still contested what the actual thing was a gold generation item back when non-supports bought them.
And it could stack. You could get as many of them as you wanted, and they'd all just keep giving you gold.
There's a whole terrible dark history of League of Legends that
Heart
some
of
of our
Gold Rip.
listeners just got like they're like, what? You could do that? I'm like, yeah, man, everyone bought it. It was crazy.
They're gonna go look up some Heart of Gold, Force of Nature threads, and
The Philosopher's
The many
Stone.
tiers.
There's a lot of old items, but I want to know, how do you join Riot at this point?
Oh, so
When do you become a Rioter?
okay, so yeah,
You're hooked on League of Legends.
I'm hooked on League. Warwick.
You think
Chalice
about
Start,
games all the
way to go.
time.
Warwick Chalice.
I think about games all the time, but I'm not actually at this point even all considering the video game industry. I went to college and I got an economics degree, and I was going to go work on Wall Street in finance. And I had an internship at a great hedge fund, Bridgewater, my junior year. And
What is a hedge fund? I'm not very smart.
very short answer is that they have clients who give them money, and then they invest that money and make their clients returns on that money, and then they take a percentage of the returns. I mean, no, sorry, a percentage of the money invested in them.
All right, if that's the short answer, I don't want to even get close to the long one. But okay,
Yeah.
you were about to work on Wall Street.
Yeah.
We are not
And-
on Wall Street right now.
No, not even close. And like honestly, like what I ran into when I was working at this hedge fund is it was fun work. Like I enjoyed my job. It was interesting. It was like really cool stuff I was thinking about every day. But at the end of the day, I would always just be looking at the clock, waiting to get home to play League of Legends with my friends and get to gold. Because I needed to get to gold before the end of the season, which ended that summer.
How'd that work out for you?
I got to gold.
Oh,
With Annie. Great champion.
Did you get to gold this season?
I feel good
Did
about
you
that.
make it?
I'm Diamond 3, man.
Oh,
I've
What
gotten
are you,
so much
Patrick?
better.
You were talking some trash earlier.
I don't know.
Oh,
Less
okay.
than Diamond
He doesn't
3.
know. Patrick doesn't know what he is.
Look,
okay.
I've carried August enough times. I don't.
Yeah. He knows I got boosted. But anyways, so I was like enjoying my job, but I wasn't like that into it. And one of my bosses could really tell. And near the end of the internship, he took me aside and he said, "Look, August, you're smart. Like, you could probably work at some hedge fund at some point or in Wall Street, and you'd probably like do okay. But like, you're really not into this. Like, you should find something that you're actually into, and I think you'll succeed there." And I was just like, "Oh shit, yeah, no, wow, you're right."
He probably meant, some other part of the financial sector, not video gaming.
Yeah, not video gaming, but yeah, and so I didn't get the internship. I mean, I got the internship, but I didn't get the full job. And,
Sure.
like, it was one of the reasons. It was just like, hey, like, this isn't what you should do. And that was like, at the time I was like, oh no, but then like it actually kind of hit home, and I was like, oh shit, maybe he's right. And so I was kind of like, moping around senior year, being like, well, what am I gonna do with my life? And this post showed up on the league forums. It was just like from our design lead, Tom Cadwell, and he was like, "Hey, players, do any of you want to design video games? You should apply." And at first I looked at it and I was like, well, that's not me because I've never designed anything ever. And then one of my friends at the frat was like, "Dude, we stay up till 2 every night talking about League of Legends champions and how bad old Eve is."
Yeah.
And
old Evelyn, I'll context you. Could stealth for 50 seconds at a time.
yes.
At the max rank
and
of
then
her
she'd
stealth.
stun you when she came out. So it would be like if you were fighting against current Rengar, except always stealthed, and a stun instead of a 3-second snare.
Yeah, and now many of you are saying, well, it's okay. Well, Eve's stealth lasts indefinitely now, right? But no. This was like the old, truest form of stealth. You could stand right next to them and be invisible.
You could
and
buy
no
5
one,
Sunfire
Sunfires.
capes
Yeah,
and
yeah.
burn
And
them
so,
to death.
and so, yeah, a popular build when Sunfire capes would stack is to buy all of them and just walk around in your stealthy stilettos as everyone around you burnt. And I did it once. Everyone starts throwing skill shots in random directions because they know you're there, but they don't know where you are.
Man, I must have blocked out that Eve because I was around back then, but I do not remember that.
Right, so you see all that and you're just like, all right, I can design League of Legends. If someone can let Sunfire Cape Eve be a thing,
Yeah,
I can probably take a shot.
Yeah, they obviously don't know what they're doing, so I'll just get in there and show them what's what. No,
That's what you
actually,
said in your
and
application.
show them you did.
yeah, but I had actually a lot of respect for the Riot design team because they'd post on the forums about their
Sure.
thoughts, and so I read a lot of threads by Tom Kedwell and Zilius and Ryan Scott Morello, and be like, oh wow, these design insights they have are actually like I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
And so anyways, my friend convinced me, it's just like, dude, apply. What's the worst that happens? You don't get a job and you continue to be jobless. And I was like, okay, yeah, you're right. And so I applied. It took like,
Your friend's got some wisdom, man.
Yeah,
This guy sounds
what a
real
guy.
smart. I want to meet him.
Yeah.
he was smart. Thanks, Vaughn. You're the best. And
You got it.
so I applied, and it took like 3 or 4 months to get through the interview process because we weren't very fast back then. But eventually, I guess I convinced them that, hey, I'm a smart guy from college, and even though I haven't designed anything, I'll design something good for you. And
Now there was
And,
a.
yeah.
I assume there were rank requirements back then as well, right? Were you meeting those?
oh, yeah, the post said you should be, I think it was like platinum or like 1800 LO or something, and I was like 1500. And I was just,
It was 1800 because we started around the same time.
okay,
Yeah, it was
okay.
1800 is what you had to be.
Yeah, okay. He was 1800, but I just sent in my application. I was just like, look, Tom. I'm not 1800, but like, trust me, I could totally get it. You should just give me an interview, please, I'm begging you.
Yeah. Were you 1800 by the time of the interview?
Oh no.
Well, okay, I guess. Well, then I think
did
that
get to
requirement.
1800. I did get to 1800 by the end of that season, though. After I
Yeah.
started at Riot, and like all the people I was playing with who were way better than me, like showed me how to play the game.
It was a ranking suggestion
Yeah,
rather than a rank
So what
requirement.
got you in the door though? There had to be something to make up for that.
So I think what made up for it is honestly like first of all, I just like had studied a lot of design just from like reading posts about like design from
Sure.
like Ryan Scott,
It's all
Tom
out there.
Cadwell. So like I was just like I kind of like from that I kind of like got a basic design knowledge of like here's some good and bad things about like certain things you should be thinking about. And then I think like being a designer really like requires, I think, just being honest about like things that are good and bad, and then also like basically you shouldn't be thinking about what's good, what's bad, but you should be thinking about like why is this good, why is this bad, and like what solutions would I have to solve it. And then the final step on that I think is really useful is you should be thinking about it's not you, it's not about you, it's not about you the designer and what you want. It's about what the player wants. It's about who are you designing this thing for, and ensure that you're delivering what they want. Like that's what the most important thing is. And so I think a lot of like thinking like that like really helped me in my interview process.
Man, somebody slapped that on a motivational background poster or something like that.
Well, I was going to say I'm going to make a recommendation because we, August, you and I started within a month
as designers, both of
so.
us.
Yeah, as designers, and I had a similar thing where I had no design training, but basically everything I learned was through a lot of these posts. There's one for many of you out there, if you Google it, if you just Google Zillius list of anti-patterns.
That was so freaking useful.
That
was
like
so just.
I know there may be some young would-be designers out there. It's like the 10 Commandments almost of if you read that, you will become a little bit smarter and probably learn a little bit about game design.
Super contentious, I remember at the time as well.
Oh yeah,
like a lot of things Zilius said and continues to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. I think it's pretty safe to say that's the core of what League is these days.
I think one of the problems and one of the reasons it was so contentious is that I think it was like taken as law at the time it was written.
Right.
It's
just
like
you can't have any of these things ever,
or you're a terrible designer and the game should change. And it's like. At the end of the day, I think one thing that's actually important about design as well is like you should never say no. You should never say like, no, we can never have this.
Sure.
Everything is just a problem to be
when
solved.
can you have it and when can you not have it?
Exactly.
Right.
So
when
like,
is it right?
If this is bad, what would you have to do to make it good? Instead of just saying, no, it's bad, we can't have it.
Yeah. So we were getting a little bit of there. I want to zoom back out to the present. I want to talk a little bit more about Jhin because, you have a big history of designing a lot of characters with 3-hit passives.
Love them.
And for this one, you showed them all that you can buck the trend, and you made yourself a 4-hit passive. So tell me about the beginnings of Jhin's creation. How did this guy come into being? You told me a little bit about his personality, but from what I remember, his kit was used to be very different.
Yeah. So Jhin used to be Kindred.
What?
That's a start.
I'm sorry. Used to be what?
Kindred.
Jindred,
yes.
Stop it.
No, so Kindred originally was not Kindred. Kindred
Okay.
originally was Mysterious Cowboy Bounty Hunter. And Riot Rex was working on the character at the time.
All coming from, by the way, tie this together, the idea was, let's put a marksman in the jungle.
Right.
Let's design one of those. And what you're saying is before it was the Lamb and Wolf show, right?
It was
like,
Sure.
Yeah, it was
Mysterious
Jordan.
Cowboy
Yeah, he took his
jungle.
inspiration from this Jin's original art, which was Mysterious Cowboy Bounty Hunter.
Gotcha.
Sniper. Sniper is on there as well.
Yeah.
And then we were like, well, let's put a marksman in the jungle. What's interesting in the jungle? A bounty system, right? Because that's what junglers are doing. They're running around collecting bounties and lane taxing.
Yeah.
Mostly lane taxing when they're my jungle.
Yeah. They objective control, cannon minion control. All of your minion control. You're like,
I'm
what
ganking.
do junglers do?
I already killed him. Trust me, I'm ganking. That's my wave.
I'm gonna put him on blast for a little bit. I play a lot with Joshua Jat Leesman these days, and when he ganks your lane, air quotes, he was just like, "Oh, are we gonna get this guy? No, all right." And then he just takes your cannon and leaves. You're like, "What the hell? That was my thing." He's like, "Oh, come on, man, I gotta stay ahead." And you're like,
All right. Mighty
Gotta
segue
carry.
just to
Gotta
trash
carry.
one Jat.
I know, I'm sorry.
You were saying, August?
But yeah, so Jungle Bounty Hunter, right? 80 carry. And so that's where the bounty system came from.
Sure.
And as Jordan iterated on the character, he was like, okay, the bounty system's really good. Let's keep this. What are the best versions of a bounty hunting character? One of them was Cowboy Sniper. One of them was Yordle on a mount that you feed the mount and the mount gets bigger. One of them was a dragon trainer where you had a pet dragon and you'd feed the dragon and then you could have a crazy dragon at the end. And one of them was Death.
Yeah.
You're running around reaping souls.
Death comes for you no matter where you
Yes.
are, or something like that.
And so it ended up being Death and the robot sniper bounty hunter, mysterious
Wait,
guy.
where the hell robot come from?
I
he
added
was
that
just
in.
robot.
Just adding things.
He was totally a robot too.
Okay.
One
Robot
day we'll
sniper,
release all the
cowboy, bounty
concept
hunter.
art done for any and
Yeah.
every champion, and people's brains will explode.
We often, for new champs, while they're getting tested out way early on, have really crappy MS Paint like splash art mocked up to do them.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
really want to see it for this character.
Oh, I've already posted it on Twitter.
Oh, okay. I'm just out of the
Yeah.
loop.
Yeah.
So,
No.
yeah, you should check it out.
It's quite good.
Yes.
the old Deadeye one.
The old Deadeye. But anyways, so Jhin was iceboxed at this point. His name, back then was Deadeye, and he got iceboxed, and because Kindred took over his spot. But
so when you say icebox, is it dead forever, or what does that mean?
Icebox means like, here's a cool concept. It's not dead forever. Like, we haven't said no, this is terrible, we'll not make it. We said it was a cool concept, didn't work out this time. And then a lot of times in ideation, concepts will keep coming up if like they're really, really good. So for example, Jinx. She was really called Cycle Arsenal, and she was iceboxed for a while. There was a long time where she just wasn't being made. We didn't think we could make her work. But then there's a number of people who are just like, but she's got that crazy look on her face and ranged AD carry with guns that swaps weapons. We could do something with that. And so she kept coming back.
Evergreen, yo.
And eventually she showed up. And so the same thing happened with Jhin, where it's like, Jhin, honestly, like, the idea of making a sniper, I've actually been like on and off of that for like 3 years since I started at Riot. And so when it came time for me to make an AD carry, I was like, well, I'd really love to make a sniper because wouldn't that be cool?
And then who do we have in the old icebox?
Yeah, and then it's just like, in this
Jin's
old
little
icebox,
creepy
like,
cowboy bandito robot face comes up, and you say, I can do something with this.
Yeah, and we were like, okay, cool.
This is what I'm looking for.
Let's try that out.
This is my perfection.
And so that's like how we got to Jhin now, and then, well, not even now. So he was still like robot cowboy bounty hunter at that point. Oh, mysterious! I forgot that part. And sniper, and robot.
Of course.
Still all the parts that made him tick.
And then we like basically he kind of turned into this Ionian virtuoso, this artistic dude. Kind of like actually after we just started it on the passive, whereas we locked down the passive. We were like, okay, 4 shots.
Yeah, and you were saying earlier, right? It's like, who holds the last shot? Probably a guy,
with some OCD who like wants to like draw out the death, right? Draw out what he's doing to you.
Yeah, he's got to really dig what's going on. So hit me with the lowdown of the kit here, because we know the passive is 4 shot. I mean, people have seen him. He's like out. He's on the PvE basically. Everyone's playing him, but the passive is the 4 shots, right? Yeah. And very curiously, you have the stat conversions here, and we don't have to go all into like what does what, but essentially no attack speed.
I don't even understand it, so please don't. But like what's the goal there?
No attack speed for you.
Yeah, the essential thing is like, here's the thing: your attacks hit a lot harder and shoot a lot slower, and you got to reload. Also, you get movement speed when you crit. That's the passive.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then there's some more stuff like your 4 shot's super powerful, and there's lane conversion.
You're like, that's it. But then you look at the tooltip and it like falls to the floor, and you're like, oh god.
Right.
But I guess I want to know, like, tell me a little bit more of some of your inspirations personally working on some of these abilities, because we talked about at the top of the show. Individually, you can be like, oh, this one's like this, but different, or this one, this is like Zap, but it goes through minions, or this is like whatever. But when they come together, they really do make something beautiful. So where did you start after the passive? You had that thing.
So we had
how
the passive.
Did it all come together?
Yeah, the passive was the start. It was just like passive was like the core play pattern of the character, and then we kind of like built him around there. And so we kind of started with the big thing again was going back to is like, how do we make a character in League who feels like a sniper without having long-range auto attacks, because that's what Caitlyn is. She gets that. And so that's where the passive came from, and that's where the ultimate NW came from as well. It was just this idea of, okay, well, let's make this sniper thing. And it was kind of like this concept of, well, if your attacks are short range, that means you don't always have a sniper rifle. So that's why Jhin has a pistol most of the time. A hand cannon is what we call it.
Yeah.
He doesn't always have a sniper rifle. And then the idea for his W and his R is like, what if he like attaches pieces to the gun to make it into a sniper rifle? And so the W, he's actually using the barrel of his gun to shoot you with that. And then the ultimate, he actually like assembles like 4 different pieces, and like including his frickin' shoulder. And that's what that hump is, by the way. He's not Quasimodo.
Oh.
He has a Hex Tech Mass Accelerator that he attaches his gun to and shoots in.
There's a story guy on the pod on this champ pod who is out there dying right now.
I'm
He's
sorry,
like,
Odin.
yes.
But yeah,
Hex
no,
Tech
and then
Mass Drive Accelerator. Woo!
he creates a shoulder-mounted mega cannon, which he uses to shoot you across the map, causing you to die.
Yeah. Scaling with you missing health to ensure the last shot is the most lethal.
Don't forget, they also slow.
Yeah.
They do. It's actually, I have to say, that's, for me, kind of the coolest part of the character, and why I know that I'm going to pick him up is when I play AD carry, and when I think most people play AD carries out there, you are constantly caught between, do I want to fight or do I want to farm? And Jhin just lets you do both. He's like, I can be in a complete other lane. I'm walking by the dragon. A fight breaks out. Oh no, what'll I do? Well, set up shop.
Ult.
Yeah, and just
then go get that minion wave.
I know, yeah. Just
And in
do them
fact,
both.
kids, if you crit with the 4th shot of the ult, you get movement speed to get to the minions faster.
And there it is.
Boom.
Everything
the
all at
genius, the virtuoso August Browning himself.
All I'm hearing though is that he assembles his weapon, and so you've made a ranged ribbon. So we all need to run for our lives. But it's interesting. You mentioned the way you play an ADC. I approach it from a much simpler perspective. Usually with a champ, I'm getting excited about one thing. I'm a well-known Garen troll, and it's purely because I like to jam a giant sword into people. Phrasing. Okay,
Dylan is a father.
That's the, I am a father. Gosh, somewhere out there, my wife just had a chill, and she's like, "Gosh, I hate my husband." Anyway, so back to the ADCs. I'll play Misfortune, and it's because I want to ult people. Okay, so with Jhin, I'm a little intimidated, frankly. So I'm wondering what's your thought process there? Is this just a guy who's gonna have a bit more of a learning curve, or does it actually kind of flow together very well when you play him for the first time?
Yes and no. Here's what I'd say. Jhin is a weirdo. Let's start with there. He's not your standard AD carry. In fact, one of the reasons we like the passive so much is we kind of wanted to make a guy who doesn't just feel like the standard AD carry. And I think another one who does this really well is Graves, for example, with the different way he auto attacks with his buckshot. So he's a lot different in that sense. But at the end of the day, you are still doing a lot of basic actions that you've learned from other AD carries. So Jhin basic attacks. So do the other ones. It's just you only get 4. So you're going to have to deal with that. And Jhin has a long-range ultimate like half the AD carries in our game. This one's not global, though. And Jhin has a pretty simple Q. And so I'd say the execution difficulty on Jhin actually isn't incredibly high, but it's the decision-making difficulty that's really, really, really rough on him, which you're going to have to learn.
Okay.
Because everything you do can be wrong, but it's not just it can be wrong, it can actually just get you killed, like your ultimate. If you use that wrong, like that one time on BoxBox's stream where he ulted someone point blank and they just jumped out of the cone and killed him, yeah, that's bad.
Yeah.
You're gonna get yourself killed.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but this is actually a little bit of your style as a designer. Because I remember we've talked about Echo. I'm a huge Echo player, and all of Echo's abilities alone are actually pretty basic. Right,
Yeah.
the W is
It's a little wonky.
It's probably the hardest to understand, but even the ult, right, is I go back to where I was.
Just push the button and you
I have
heal
a double
and stuff.
dash. I throw out this boomerang thing. You have these abilities that alone are not intimidating, but in concert, it's okay, now go do all of that.
Right.
Is tough, and then you get to find all these different combinations of how you want to play. Gnar is another example as well, right? I think Jinx is another big one. You have all these moves that when it's now put them together. Is difficult. Is that how you like to make characters? Does it just end up that way?
It tends, I'm the character. For example, on Vi, you put them all together at the same time and then you kill someone with them. She's a simpler champion.
She is a train.
She was I just gotta make someone who punches people, and then we made Vi
5 times until they die.
Yeah.
But on
3 times, 3.
Sure, yeah,
Sorry.
come on,
3 hit
come on.
passively.
It
I don't
used
know what
to
I
be
was
5.
thinking.
That was a terrible design.
Yeah.
And 4. Then it was 4. Also terrible.
Yeah.
3 was perfect.
3 was perfection.
3 is always perfect, except with Jhin.
But getting back to your question, I think that's exactly right. That's how I like to design things. My argument is that not every skill on a kit has to be super awesome and intense and have all this optimization as long as the kit has optimization. So Jhin, if you look at his WR, that's actually pretty simple. Snipe people out and use your R on people in long range, right? And if you look at his passive and his Q, it's well, that's pretty simple. Q is just do some damage by targeting a guy, and passive is range basic attacking with a reload, right? But then if you put those together, it's wait, I actually have 2 different kits on my character. I have long-range Jhin and short-range auto-attacking Jhin. And one of the big things about learning to play Jhin is understanding when it is right to be in one of those basically modes, right? Whereas you can choose to just stay completely out of a fight, super safe, and just poke people down with your W and your R. Or you can be going in and basic attacking, but that puts you at risk. And so this is actually one of the hard parts in this development cycle is shaping his kit in such a way that the transition between the long-range Jhin and short-range Jhin is actually smooth. Because a lot of times people would just be well, I'm actually never want to be long-range because I just want to basic attack people. And other times people are my basic attacks kind of suck, but I'll just poke people all game and do nothing else. And so that's like a balancing mechanism.
And
there.
it sounded like from your farm and fight at the same time example earlier, you know, kind of that true just mastery is almost potentially being able to do both of those at the same time to some extent, right?
Right, exactly. Like the best Jhins, if they're doing it really well, is they understand like, here is the part of the fight where I'm going to basically start using my ult, use my W, both of which like, you know, stun me and, you know, make me a lot more immobile. And then here's the part of the fight where I don't want to ult. Ulting would be bad here, even if it looks like a juicy kill, because I can get more damage from auto-attacking people, and I can do it safely.
Yeah, I've seen playtests where people will use Jin's Curtain Call, the ultimate. You know, you set it all up, and they'll score a kill with it, like down the lane in a massive team fight, and their team actually ends up losing because Jhin is all the way the hell back at his turret, and he's not anywhere where he can do this consistent damage as soon as he's done. And so
Exactly.
And so, you know, it may seem like a good decision to be like, oh, well, I'll just snipe this guy out, when in reality you should have maybe never pressed that button.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Bard of ADCs gonna alternatively just have some beautiful,
Ooh, is that it? Is Jhin the Bard of ADCs?
some beautiful stuff and some tear my hair out stuff from the Jhins on my team.
I doubt he's the Bard of ADCs. Like you still, I think one thing about Bard is Bard is unknowable. It's hard to know what a Bard really does.
Or what a Bard is going to do. You just
Yes.
look at your teammate and say, I hope you help me.
Well, and he
hope.
doesn't help you; he just sits there and honks at you
Yeah.
the whole time.
Yeah, he's questionably useful, which is brilliant about his design because like that's what his character is.
Yeah.
He's just like, I showed up to save the island. No, I'm not saving the island. I'm just
questionably useful.
I'm just here. I'm just here, guys.
I love it. So so before we wrap up, I want to know, are there any fun almost abilities that didn't make it on Jhin that were really wacky, or any stories like that?
Almost abilities. So there's one that Jordan had actually back when Jhin was almost Kindred.
And Jordan is summoner name.
Jordan
Riot Rex, the
Yes.
Kindred
He had-
and Brown.
Okay.
He had it was basically like marked for death or whatever. And what it was his ultimate. And if anybody on the map, on the enemy team, anyone got below 15% health, they were immediately pinged on the map to Jhin, or Kindred as it was at the time.
Deadeye.
Deadeye, yes, Deadeye. They were pinged on the map to Deadeye, and Deadeye got the chance to shoot a global missile that passed through anything except that target. And he got one shot, and if he hit that guy with that missile, that guy died no matter what. Didn't matter what was on him.
If he was
Janna
invulnerable.
Shields, Kale ult, Tom Kench W. Actually, you can't hit that guy because that's untargetable, but like basically, so that wouldn't have worked. But
Yeah.
anything else, that guy dies. And then we had a bunch of like big blood and
Did
explosion
it
particles.
home or was it?
No, it
alive?
was just a global skill shot, and it was just
Think of it as an
anytime-
incredibly thin Lux ult. Like it's
Wow.
there is a brief wind up, and then the entire line, a bullet goes through.
I
Yep.
think that would lead to some of the best and worst feelings.
Yeah,
in League
no,
of
it was
Legends.
there was definitely some questionable stuff about it, but the idea of just like, oh, if anyone ever gets low, I'm just like called out to snipe that guy,
Yeah.
and then you go try, like that was pretty cool. Another version of his ultimate, he couldn't change where he was shooting, but instead he'd get down and he'd channel and he'd line up a shot and look down a line, and it would show his allies a laser sight of where he was looking. You could think of it like a Vel'Koz. And then his allies would try to like get people into that line so he could take the shot and hit all of them, which was pretty cool.
That sounds cool, but
not
real
as-
tough to manage.
Yeah.
There was also the one that I think, and correct me, I swear, if these are real mechanics on his kit currently, I'm going to feel really dumb. But this was one of my favorite versions of the ult was your first three crits, or your first three shots could not kill.
Oh yeah, no, I remember
They
that.
were non-lethal, no matter what. They could
Yeah.
only get you to one health.
Oh yeah, so the first three shots would not only that, but they would cripple you. And when I say cripple, I don't mean, oh, you're slowed. I mean, oh, you're slowed, and your attack speed is slowed, and your armor and magic resist are all gone, and you don't do any damage.
Okay.
And so if you got hit by one of those shots, you wouldn't be dead, but you'd be useless.
Yeah. And then the final shot in this case, that one could kill. And if it did kill, the person would just explode and you could die to that explosion.
Yes, yes. it
So
would
basically it's
pen
like,
through and
I kill
explode out of
you
them.
with your ally.
Whoa.
Yep.
You're a messed up dude.
Yeah, well, no,
I guess
Jhin.
it's
Gotta
Jin's
get in
messed
the
up.
mind
It's
of
all
my,
Jhin,
of
right?
my
You're
character,
not.
man.
You're not. You're not
Well,
wrong.
So to take that serious, I think you had touched on this a little bit earlier. You've even spoken to me a little bit about how really there are kind of two ends of the champ design spectrum, where you can approach things from a very thematic perspective, and then alternatively trying to create a perfect mechanical experience. And I believe you've mentioned that you approach things much more from the thematic end.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
What are your thoughts on that just kind of in general at Riot? It's intriguing to me that we can actually have essentially different schools of champ design here at the company.
So what I think is amazing about the League of Legends roster is how eclectic it is. Like, there is a champion for most everyone in our roster somewhere, right? And so I think that's really cool. Is just like, okay, well, we have Yasuo's for people who really like this high skill experience, and we have Garen's for people who like bashing their heads on their E key.
You're not wrong, friend.
To be fair, though, Garen is like so fun. I love him.
I love him so much.
But we basically have all these different types of champions, from thematics and skill expressions and mechanics and all that stuff. And like, that's the really cool part. So for me, it's like, I'd be sad if there was only one school of design at Riot, because if there was only one school of design for champions, we'd have like 10 Yasuo's, right? And one Yasuo is amazing, but I'd rather have like a Yasuo and a Braum and a Syndra and a Kindred and like all these different characters that are designed differently. And so that's like the really cool part about different designers. It's just like, I'll be honest, like I could never design a Yasuo or a Thresh. At least I shouldn't say never. Right now I'm not that good at it. But oh my God, those characters are so amazing. And then like, but on the flip side, if you like go thematics focused, you can go up with something like Jinx, who's like really like exciting from just a thematics end. And like, is her gameplay like as new and interesting and revolutionary as like a super mechanics focused champion like Kindred? Probably not, but like, she really like hits home on that like crazy girl fantasy, which like I think a lot of people want to play.
Yeah,
so,
I think Gnar is my favorite example of this, of the characters you've released, where 3-year-old with a temper tantrum, right? Like in a kid, there it is.
It
and
does that.
You have the Goomba jump, his little hop, right, where he's like,
Goomba guy.
He's the annoying little kid that's hyperactive. Right.
Yeah.
And then he gets too pissed off and starts throwing his toys around and all of you with him. And I think, you can break down every ability like we were talking earlier. You could be like, oh, well, he's like Thresh Flay, but in a giant AoE or whatever, right? but that's not what it's about, right? It's about saying when I play Gnar, when I'm someone that likes to self-identify as a Gnar main, are the feelings that I want to have in game really on display, and I think they are. So that's why I'm excited for Jhin. Is I'm gonna things are gonna get real weird on Summoner's Rift right after Jhin comes out. There's gonna be double
Ults in the wrong direction,
ults back into your base. A lot of music playing, a lot of mask people talking. But
on that note, what are you most excited for when all the players out there are able to get their hands on them?
I think I'm most excited for just the experience of playing with and against a Jhin on your team. I think like the range at which he operates is so different compared to most AD carries that like people are just gonna have a lot of new ways to just like to experience like, oh wow, I'm a mid laner and Jin's in the river. Well, that means I can actually fight this guy because Jin's gonna root him for me, which is pretty cool.
I got you. Those transformative experience champions are always pretty fun, even if they're stomping on you.
Well, getting stomped is always.
I'm just saying, I'm getting stomped in a different way.
Yeah, but
then
appreciate it. Yeah, but then that flip side, you just play Rengar against him, and totally fair. But yeah, so I'm just looking forward to just like, I think Jhin is a new way to experience AD carry, both like playing as and playing like with one on your team, and
Gotcha.
So I'm looking forward to see how players feel about that.
What are you worried about? What things we got to keep an eye on? That tune particularly.
Well, one thing I'm worried about is late game because he gets a lot of AD, and I think that's good, but he gets a lot of AD. Like he gets a lot of AD. So
on watch, okay.
So just like generally, just how much damage his attacks are doing is something to watch out for. He should do a lot of damage with his attacks, but like he should not just kill everybody always forever. And then the other thing is just like since he does function on at these insane ranges. We've had problems in testing where it's just like, even though Jhin is 0-7, his team's still winning because he's rooting people for that Aurelia on his team who's fed top. And so kind of worried about like, oh, if Jhin is winning, even if Jhin is losing, his team is still winning as long as he can root for people.
Interesting.
And so like kind of like looking at that, making sure like you can get advantages on the guy and get him out of the game.
Okay. Well, he's still definitely on PBE for a while, so going to be keeping an eye on that stuff and post live as well, I imagine.
Oh, there's so many videos of people playing.
Yes.
One, it was Darius when he uses curtain call, and each shot is the lasers from Star Wars. It sounds like it was hilarious. I think there are going to be a lot of potential videos of all the fun and wacky.
This guy's made for
things he can
highlights,
do.
both
Yeah.
terrible and and
highlight reel
perfect.
champion for sure.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I think that's it for today. I wanted to thank you for coming out and talking to us, August. I know you
Cool.
are super busy. What with this guy on PBE and
He'll totally be
fix the
bug-free.
bugs.
Don't worry about it.
all those bugs.
They're definitely
Shout out to that guy out there who's just mashing the key over and over. August, there appears to be an issue on the 93rd key press of E.
See, the problem with that bug is that I can't repro it myself because I can't mash the key fast enough.
Yeah.
And so whenever I check a fix to it, I'm like, hope this works.
How do I fix this? Get better at League of Legends. That's how you fix
Gotta
it.
raise that APM, yo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, shout out to the vendors out there, the unsung heroes, and to you listeners out there. Want to thank you guys all for tuning in, as always, to support us through this. Make sure you're rating us, commenting, letting us know what we suck, what we're tolerable at, all that stuff. We want to get better for you guys. August, we'll let you go. Patrick, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
And we will
thanks,
see you
guys.
guys on the next podcast. Dude, I'm so pissed though. I meant to start it off and be like, okay, before we get going, Patrick has actually been telling incredibly shitty jokes. I'm gonna require that you say one. And just see
I'm
which
sure
one
I
you
can
pulled
sneak
out.
in a gin and tonic
Please.
or a gin and juice.
God, I really liked cauliflower actually.
Yeah, dude, a
That
cauliflower.
was really awful.
That's one of those that when I thought of it, I knew that the moment I told that joke, other people were gonna steal that joke, but it was worth it to be out there.
Yeah. Yes.
It's all
The
jokes.
good I bestow
all jokes
upon the
have a
world.
progenitor. August, can you hear my best dad joke?
Please no.
It's I think Chris Tom told this to me, but it's one of my favorites. It's two fungi are sitting in a closet. One turns to the other and says, "There's not much room in here."
Oh my god.
I don't get it.
I hate you.
It's mushroom.
Fungi. Oh! Ah!
It's terrible.
Sean, you there? Okay. All right. God,
Take all that shame and disgust and hit us with a segue.
I gotta get that out.